Hi, my name is Taylor Roberts, and this is my math autobiography. I grew up in the Durham region, so the board I went through most of my life was KPR. Um, I have a few memories of math, but nothing that really stuck too much. Some of my first memories of math was, using those teddy bear strips to create patterns or using blocks of all different shapes and sizes to do a lot of like patterning work. Probably I can remember that happening in kindergarten. My latest that I can think of through primary, high school, public school, stuff like that. I can remember picking my courses in grade 8, and my math teacher, or my homeroom teacher at the time, was telling me that he thought I should take AP math going into grade 9. And I always remember, or I can remember still telling him that I didn't want to do that. I have older siblings that did that, and you lose a lot of extra time. And I had no interest in homework at that point. I still don't, but you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Um, I do remember once I got into high school that I had a very frustrating math experience. I never had a teacher stick with me throughout the whole year, due to illnesses or just temporary work for the teachers. So it was hard for me to get used to the style of teaching that each person had because each teacher teaches math differently, right? Those are some of my experiences that I remember most from math throughout my education. When I was reading the textbook, I noticed that math was talked about very differently than what I'm used to math being talked about throughout my education. Um, Math when I was growing up was discussed as either you got it or you didn't, or boys were stronger in math than girls were and stuff like that. And it was very, one or the other. You didn't have that like, umbrella of different skills and abilities, and didn't depend on, certain factors. It really surprised me to read, and I get this in all the curriculums I've read or all the chapters in the textbook, that everything is so inclusive and understanding, and that we don't just teach it one way and that's the way you learn it. We're incorporating many different things for people to use to learn, and many different strategies. It reminds me of when I did a placement in a school and we had a family that came from Ukraine. And I remember talking to the other educators about the challenges they face administering the curricula to someone with a whole different cultural background, and how they had to incorporate different strategies, and how they had to administer it in a different way so that this person was still understanding math, right? I also remember reading in the textbook that they talked about how important it is to use a range of different resources when teaching math. And that made me think about my experience tutoring. And in the placement I did, there was always so many different options laid out for resources to support the student. However, I had to get used to bringing resources to tutoring, and to get used to what person likes what resource and what works best for them. Like some child might need an abacus while others like to use hundreds charts or a number line, right? So it was interesting because it was something I could relate to and that I have experienced through my experience.